I am Ashwin Padmanabhan. I am the President, Investments, Trading and Partnerships at GroupM, out here at Goafest 2023, and loving every moment of it. Actually, if you look at it, my experience in media planning and buying is very, very limited. But if you think about my experience with media as an industry, I've been in this industry for more than 20 years now. More on the publisher side most of my life, creative side, and over the past 5.5 years in an agency environment in the media planning and buying space. So specific to media planning and buying, it's just about 25% of my total, I would say, experience. But media as a whole has been more than 20 years now. It's not rocket science, right, to stay updated. You need to read a lot. You need to ask questions. You need to wonder. And most importantly, you need to observe what's happening in your client's business. You need to observe what's happening in the media environment in terms of business models, what's changing, the way technology is impacting us. I think if you're curious, staying updated is not really difficult. I think one, it's not a trend really, but it's a reality we're living in, is that today it's really, really difficult to get to a consumer because as consumers, all of us, our attention is extremely divided and fragmented. So it is a big challenge for a brand and thus a big challenge for an agency to actually find ways to connect with consumers in a meaningful manner. But more importantly, the way technology is enabling this connection is where the trends are happening, right? Whether it is the use of AI and ML in algorithms which allow us to optimize audiences programmatically, whether it's in the way ad tech is helping understanding consumers better, their profiles better, to be able to target better, or it's the way technology is allowing us to distribute content in multiple ways in real time to make it extremely contextual. So digital content optimization that happens on the fly. I think it's the way technology is becoming an integral part of the marketing industry. That itself is a trend. You can't separate marketing and technology anymore. See, the reality is that today, if the number of impressions available from a consumer content consumption perspective is unlimited on digital. So it's really not a threat at all. In fact, subscription-driven content platforms are a very, very small minority. They are not just a minority, we're a minuscule minority of all the audiences that you can reach in the universe, right? So there are different business models, different ways in which you connect with audiences. The growth of either ad blocking software on browsers or subscription models is really not stopping us from connecting with consumers because there are enough and more audiences available in the digital ecosystem. So that's really not a challenge at all. The way I see it, a lot of the consumer behavior and business behavior changed with and during COVID. But now, if you reflect, a lot of it is getting reset. So we all imagined that there will be a permanent change, and we were talking about the new normal during COVID, right? But the reality is, if normal was 100 and the new normal was 200, we have come back to probably 105, 110. Consumers are going back to shopping in the physical form. Consumers are experiencing content in theaters and cinemas everywhere, just like they used to do before the pandemic. Consumers are looking for real experiences and not just virtual experiences. But what has changed is that the virtual and the real world is coming together. And ways in which you can experience the real world is getting enhanced by the use of technology. So the environment that we were imagining, which was primarily a digital and a virtual kind of an environment that we were supposed to be living in, I think it's become a more merged reality than just a digital reality. See, who is an influencer? An influencer is someone who is able to connect with audiences, and usually influencers who are consistently able to connect with audiences create content which is authentic, is sustainably in that sense. It's sustainable in the sense that they are experts in something, right? You would have an auto expert reviewing cars. You could have a physics expert who's teaching physics to kids. You could surely have fashion influencers who are reviewing different products or talking about the way you to use a product. But at some form, they are experts in the content that they're creating. And that is where the authenticity actually comes in, and the credibility of theirs comes in. Influencer is just not a name. I wouldn't qualify someone who generally starts creating video without meaningful content as an influencer. So I think the first is who do you define as an influencer? It needs to be someone who creates authentic content consistently, and the content which is enabling them to connect with audiences in a consistent basis and in a meaningful manner. And when a brand looks at working with such influencers, it always gains significantly, because they ride on the credibility and the trust that the influencer has with their audiences, and they're able to connect with those audiences in the same manner. So influencer marketing is, I believe, an extremely critical and important mix in the whole marketing planning exercise. And it's important for us to understand how to use it, where to use it, and with whom should you be working. And that is where I think a lot of investment is going from people like GroupM, where we're building platforms which allow us to analyze influencers, which allow us to predict followers of those influencers. Where do they come from? How many men, how many women? Which geographies do they come from? What are their likes and dislikes? And I think more data starts getting used in the way influencers' campaigns are structured, along with the creativity that the influencer brings in. I think it will start becoming more and more meaningful for a brand to actually participate in influencer marketing. I think I have a fundamental challenge with the way people think that technology is killing things or is disrupting marketing. It's disrupting marketing in different ways. It is enabling marketing and thus disrupting it, right? So when you look at Web 3.0, over the years we have had a lot of conversation about privacy. I think all the startups that they're working on Web 3.0, they're looking at, in a way, giving control back of your own data to the consumer, and at the same time building an elegant model for that data to be harnessed by a brand as well, right? That's the core of Web 3.0 at the core, right? It's beautiful because as consumers we are protected, we control our data, but at the same time a brand also knows that they are connecting with an authentic consumer without actually my personal information being used in manners which I don't want it to be, right? So technology is brilliantly enabling, and I'm hoping that more and more application and usage of such technologies happens in a much larger scale, right? Because it will give power to consumers, it will give a lot more credibility to a brand as well when they are using digital platforms, right? Same with AI. I can use AI disruptively if I have or rather negatively if I have that as my objective. But I can use AI beautifully to deliver something positive if that is my objective. So really, technology is a tool. I think we need to look at all of these as tools and see how can these tools help me solve day-to-day problems? How can these tools help me create credibility, help me create accountability, and help me create a fantastic user experience at the end of the day? I don't think technology should ever come in the way of user experience and the content experience that we want to have. That's the way I look at technology. So I think at an overall level, we had projected about a 15.5% kind of a growth for the market, with almost 56% of the total spends being on digital. at 30 odd percent on TV. When I look at we're almost, coming to the end of the first half of the calendar year. We're still in the first quarter of the financial year, but first half of the calendar year. The more or less, it's been in line with what we had been thinking, right? But not necessarily in the manner of splits that we were anticipating, right? We have had some of the mediums like print, out of home actually growing better than what we anticipated, right? We have had television being almost on par with what we were thinking, right? If you look at digital, it's been slightly slower than what we anticipated. So at an overall level, I would say we are more or less in the line of what we were projecting, but we'll have a better understanding at the end of June once we reconcile all the data and we look at it. Slightly softer, but not necessarily dramatically different, but more a change in the mix of growth than really at an overall level. That's how I would look at it.
You're not seeing a large change in whatever you want.
Marginal change, I would say. Like I said, marginal softness at an overall level. Not necessarily, you can't generalize it across all mediums. Some mediums have actually surprisingly grown faster than what we anticipated, and some have been marginally softer. We are actually seeing brand interest growing. We are actually seeing a lot of the funded startups which had kind of gone off advertising, beginning to explore getting back into marketing and getting back to customer acquisition, right? We may not see the frenzy that we saw in 2021 of trying to outdo each other in terms of spending, but there will be more pragmatic marketing plans which will be driven, which will be accountable, and where the way you connect with the consumers, the brand connects with the consumer, and the way the ROI is measured, that will be right on top, right? So I would say it's a good sign that a lot of the brands which went out of the market starting middle of last year, July, August, many of them are looking to come back into spending as we get into the second half of the year, right? We're also anticipating a much better festive this year. We've got a lot of active cricket calendar. We've got the Asia Cup coming up. We've got the World Test Championship in June. We've got obviously the World Cup this year happening in India. So it's going to be a lot of excitement if you ask me. And so yeah, I would think of a much more positive second half this year compared to what we had last year. So yeah, I'm positive about the second half. So we call it the GroupM Motion Entertainment. That's something which I'm very personally passionate about, and it's been a tough journey for us. We've been a small team of 4 or 5 people who have been building this business for the past 5 years, but we've been very proud of the work we've done. I think Rana is here at the Goafest. He's also the co-creator with us of the first ever chat format that we created called Number One Yari, and one of the most successful shows that we created almost 5 years ago. As we speak, we have a very unique show which is live on Star Jalsha, which is an entrepreneurship show for women and for small and medium businesses run by women, right? We are proud of the association that we have at Britannia, and the way the format that we have built has seamlessly got integrated into Britannia's own, program called My Startup. So that in-house program of theirs has got integrated into this content and show and seamlessly become one, right? So very proud of that. At this point in time, we've just ventured this year into production of movies as well. As we speak, we are producing 7 Marathi movies, and we're in discussions to invest in further 2 Tamil movies and we're actually producing 1 Hindi movie as well. Early days for us as far as feature films is concerned. We will learn as we go by, but the ambition and charter of GroupM Motion Entertainment is that we should add value to the ecosystem, which means the presence of GroupM should enable a platform to be able to create content by de-risking some of their content investment, by enabling better monetization of that content, working with our creator partners to be able to give them and fund better opportunities for the creator partners, and finally and most importantly, for our brands to have exclusive opportunities to engage with content seamlessly while the content is getting scripted. These are opportunities which are very rare for a brand to come by. Usually, when a brand gets associated with the content, it is more like a logo. It's more like an integration in a reality show. But we've brought that capability of integrating a brand into a movie while it is being written, the script is being written, or into a show while the script is being written. And we have done multiple shows where this has been possible. So I think our investments will also enable our clients and the brands that we manage to get access to a unique content experience to help them connect seamlessly with their consumers. So that's what GroupM Motion Entertainment is really about. It's across genres actually. I spoke about feature films which are across thrillers, humor, drama. We have done daily soaps both on YouTube as well as on channels which are mostly on drama. We have done docu kind of series. We've done a show called Jai Ho India, which traces the history of 2000 years of development and civilization in India. One of the first shows that we did was in collaboration with Mercedes. These were 5 short films where we told the story of 5 adventurers, and it was told beautifully in short films, which actually you can see it on YouTube. It's called The Rushes, and if you search for Rushes and Mercedes, you'll get these films. So really, we are not stuck on a format. Our objective is what I spoke about earlier. As long as we meet those objectives, we are open to formats. So we should be having our first show that we're producing for an OTT with one of our content partners. So hopefully end of this year we should see that. Thank you so much.